great.
We got 25 minutes. We got to go.
Hey.
Ew. Happy Wednesday, guys.
Happy Wednesday, everyone. We are super excited to have you with us. Welcome to Say That channel. If this is the first time that you are with us, we are totally unapologetic about talking about the ugly come up of entrepreneurship and small business ownership. So what does that mean? Well, we've all heard those stories about how people start from nothing, and then they have this massive success. But it's like, what happens in the middle? What happens during the ugly come up? Well, that's what we're here to talk about. We're really excited to have you on. And what we typically do is we have a topic of the day, and we've got 25 minutes to talk about that topic, or to answer the question anyway. And then we listen to content creators, thought leaders, and then we have guests who we interview who also answer the question. And then when time runs out with our guests, oh no, what do? We've run out of time. But we still want more. Then we jump into overtime for all of our Patreon members. You can catch the rest of it in overtime. So we're super excited today because today it's not just going to be me and Winston. We've got a really great guest. And so I'm excited for today's topic.
Absolutely. And shout out to anybody who is watching us. We're streaming live on Instagram.
Yes, Instagram.
Thank you to StreamYard for actually getting that set up. So let's jump into today's topic.
Can simple budgeting be the key to your financial goals?
Oh, what a great question.
This is a great question. I think there's some real practicality to it, which I'm excited to get into. So as I was saying earlier, it's not going to be just me and Winston answering this question. We have an amazing guest with us today. I think he's going to be an absolute powerhouse when it comes to answering this particular question. He is not only your personal financial advisor, but who's someone who has been he is like an entrepreneur, right? Like he loves what we do, being in this space and helping people, providing solutions. And so I couldn't think of a better person to bring on than Sean Hurdle.
Welcome to the show.
There he is.
Awesome.
Sean, welcome in, brother.
Thank you so much. You know, it's great to see that video compared to me being here in a room in my home. You see that video, I'm out in the world. So.
You're out there doing things, helping people. So tell us a little bit about how you got into the world of finance and why you decided to pursue this area for your entrepreneurship journey.
Yeah, you know, thank you so much, Janelle. It's a great question. I love sharing my story, my origin story, if you will. And really, I was fortunate enough to be raised by somebody my dad, who started off in the medical field and then went into this industry. And so I had firsthand experience as a little guy, seeing my dad, meeting people, bringing people to the house all the time, meeting with them at the dinner table, or taking me with him to their house to talk about finances. And so that's how I got in the industry. I mean, it came with a lot of convincing. You know, I spent the first 16 years of my adulthood doing my own thing, you know, and probably had well over several hundred jobs.
Several hundred.
And I mean jobs, gigs, posts, assignments, right?
Oh, wow.
And living in Los Angeles, just like, what's the gig for today? You know, working in a variety of industries. So in 2019, coming up in 5 years, decided to join my dad in business.
Wow.
Oh, so it's recent.
It's fairly recent, yeah. And I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit. I've attempted to start, you know, a couple businesses, but there's nothing like this business because the need is so big, and the need has never been bigger than right now.
Actually, so before we jump into the actual question, I'd be interested to hear, you said, you know, you had a period of time being able to watch your dad. What changed 5 years ago to make you decide that was the time?
Great question.
Yeah, thank you, Winston. That's great. I think I was sick and tired of really working jobs where I didn't have control of my own time. That was the biggest factor. Because time, I mean, we're super grateful for everybody spending their time joining with us here live. And time is our greatest asset. And especially when it comes to investing, which we'll talk a little bit about that. But yeah, that was my biggest thing, is I wanted control of my own time. And I didn't care how hard it would be on the entrepreneur side, which is also what we're going to talk about here in a minute.
Very cool.
Very interesting. So, okay, so we're going to talk about like mastering our finances. And I think a lot of people are looking to do that in order to gain back some of their time. So, I'm really interested in what you have to say about all of those things. So, let's get into the question then. Tell us what your answer would be to, can simple budgeting be the key to your financial goals?
First, let me say that simple and easy are two very different ideas, right? Simple has to do with how complicated something is, whereas easy has to do with the effort. So budgeting can be simple, but it's not easy for everyone. You know, some of us may really plug into an Excel spreadsheet, or some of us may nerd out on looking at our expenditures on our banking statement and tracking them. For the rest of us, it's not easy. And so there are a lot of tools out there. But when I say simple budgeting, and to answer this question, if we look at a macro level, right? America in 2021, across the board, you know, Americans, we saved about 8% of our income. Now, we're about 15th in the world as far as savings. So we're not doing horrible. But the financial literacy in general, beyond just savings, isn't really well, it's not equitable. It's not dispersed around everyone. So, however, there are simple budgeting techniques that can completely change someone's world. And that has to do with how much money you're putting away from every paycheck. We probably heard people talk about pay yourself first, or be your own bank, right? But it's all about consistency. So just like everything else, like when you're an entrepreneur, maybe you're a business owner, maybe you have to do consistent marketing month after month, year after year to get some sort of results. It's the same with budgeting. Consistent budgeting, consistently saving a percentage of your income year over year in a medium, high yield, maybe, you know, conservative interest will build over time.
So would you say that the number though would be different for everyone? That or yeah, would you say that the number, the percentage you put away is different for everyone, or should be different?
Yeah, I think that there might be a certain percentage that people could reach towards, like maybe it's 15-20% of your income, but it all depends on someone's, you know, position in life, where they're at, right? Maybe they're trying to pay off student loans to their house or their car, and then after that's paid off, they're going to have more percentage that they can put in. So maybe it depends on the stage of life. Like one thing every financial advisor will tell you is that there's an accumulation phase, right? Where typically when someone is younger, they're going to be accumulating more money so they can save a little bit more. Whereas in older years, somebody's going to be kind of taking from those savings that they built over time in their accumulation phase. So really, I mean, that's one of the difficulties about being an advisor, is that there's no advice that everyone can use.
Yeah, however, like a flat thing.
However, one general piece of advice would be consistent budgeting, consistent investing over time. And time is a big factor, right? Like when it comes to compound interest, someone who's younger or someone who's putting money away for their child, they have a lot more time for that individual, for that money to compound. And so that's what's incredible about it.
Okay, so many thoughts. Okay, so what you just talked about was budgeting towards investing. Is there anything else that especially for entrepreneurs out there, is there anything that let's talk about the simple. What is simple about budgeting? Is it just putting aside money towards investing? What other simple things could people who are in their entrepreneurship journey do towards budgeting to help with the financial stability of their business?
You know, but most entrepreneurs, they kind of have like two hats that they wear. They wear like a business owner hat, and then they wear like a personal hat. Maybe it's like a family hat, that sort of thing. And so similar with your entrepreneur hat, your business hat, you're tracking a lot of your finances, right? You're working with your CPA, you're tracking everything you spend. But usually in our personal lives, we're not as good at tracking. So I think one simple practice that someone could, you know, start off with is tracking expenses. I know for some people, it's really encouraging to kind of use cash, which is very difficult nowadays, but using cash in the beginning, because you can kind of seal it. There's more of an emotional response to every transaction. But I think even better could be just tracking at the end of every day or at the end of every week, because then you're like, well, I just spent XYZ on groceries last week, so maybe I should hold off this week, whatever that looks like. But I think finding the deal, and finding the deal can be kind of exciting. I know I'm someone who loves to go to like a discount grocery store, or I love to trade or give away or receive gifts. So I'm part of a lot of community groups that give stuff away. It's kind of a reuse culture, but to me it's kind of fun. And I'm an extrovert by nature. I love meeting people, and so I'm part of a community called Buy Nothing on Facebook. It's one of the few reasons why I use Facebook. I actually wrote an article a little bit on my website. On Buy Nothing, there's no political, there's no, there's nothing allowed in the group except give, ask, or gratitude. So that's a great opportunity for me. Cool. If I need something, I'll post an ask in the group, and I could be saving, a lot of money by getting that item from my neighbor for free, while at the same time connecting with somebody who might be a potential client.
That is super cool. Shout out to, what is it called? Buy what?
Buy Nothing.
Buy Nothing. The Facebook
it's as simple
group,
as, I mean, anybody who's using Facebook, specifically people in my generation or older, I would say, if you just search Buy Nothing on Facebook, it's going to pop up the group nearest to you, because it's all based on where your location is.
Proximity.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
Okay,
so this brings me to another thought, right? So people hear financial advisor and they immediately think like, I'm out. That's only for people who are wealthy. That's only for businesses that are doing like $1 million or more, in profit or what have you. And so let's talk a little bit about that. Why is it important to work with someone like you, who can help people navigate? Like, is it true? Do you need to be automatically wealthy in order to work with a financial advisor?
I'm so happy you brought that up. Right now, what's really trending right now is equity, right? Super important. Beyond fairness, people getting what they need to thrive and not just survive. That's true equity, right? When it comes to financial advising, equity comes from information. So typically, information hasn't been well spread out through all income classes. And so that's why there's this stigma around financial advisors and that title specifically. And so, right now there's a lot of firms, including the firm that I work with, that we're really bridging that gap, and we're making information accessible to everyone. And not just on a verbal level, on a tangible level. We're able to connect people to products, companies, because I work with a broker. We're able to connect people with products that have typically only been available to people who have a certain amount of income that they're ready to invest right away. And so that's what's incredible. I have clients across the board. My team, the people I work with, my trainer, my mentor in business, because I've only been in 5 years. This individual works with people from all income levels. And so it is a situation where I like to do a lot of public speaking. I like to visit people in their workplace. As you saw in that picture, I'm sitting down with some employees at a workplace, because that's kind of somewhere where it's trusted, where people can really, because that's where people talk about finances the most, is at their employer. For entrepreneurs, they're kind of left to their own devices, which is sad, because our country was founded on entrepreneurs. So we should really support the entrepreneur. That's why I love this podcast. And so I would say with a financial advisor, no matter what your income level is, try to seek out a financial advisor that isn't only concerned about investing your money to get you some potential gains, but someone who could educate you for free without like an hourly wage that they're going to charge you. Someone who can give you the education and give you insight into the tools, resources, and information, most importantly, that can help you thrive.
So and thank you for that, Sean. And I'll put up your website again, so that for anyone that would like to just contact you initially. So for someone who's just like, let's say I had a number. So it's like, am I looking at, I can go to you with $100 in my bank account and we can start the journey there, or 1,000, 10,000? Because to Janelle's point, for everyone, I think we could obviously be at different points. And if I look at the statistics, I think 80 or 70 something % of Americans don't even have like an additional or $1,000 sitting in their savings account. Are you saying a person even at that point should come and maybe specifically them start having a conversation with someone like you?
That's a good question. I would say so, because what I'm going to tell someone, and I'll tell any of the people listening to the podcast now, is that if you only have $100 in your bank account right now, consider what would happen in an emergency.
Yeah, exactly.
And get an emergency fund first, and then focus on, putting money away for yourself after that. That's like the first thing.
Okay.
Beyond that emergency fund, which is typically 3 to 6 months of expenses, beyond that, that's where the investment comes in. But either way, you can still go to a financial advisor to start getting the information to program yourself to make decisions that will lend towards a more significant impact on your future.
Okay. So it's about, it doesn't, I guess, regardless of where you may find yourself now, you have to start at some point, right?
Yeah, it's like once you have your emergency fund there to protect you in case something happens, because if something happens to somebody and they only have, $500 in the bank account and an emergency happens, they're going to be in a worse off place. So first thing is the emergency fund, which will, once you're tracking your expenses, that'll help because you can shave off expenses to build that up. Have that in a liquid account, a savings account, and then from there you can continue to build wealth, more.
And you're saying that should be around 6 months of your basic, 6 months of all your expenses currently.
3 to 6 months, yeah, at least, yeah.
How would that play out for somebody who has a business as well?
Yeah, it's a good question. I would say that for a business, there might need to be safeguards in place for, like commercial liability insurance, obviously things like that, that to protect the business in case of an emergency. But for someone's personal. For their personal, they want to definitely have that emergency fund first thing. It is more of a challenge when you're a business owner, right? You're all of a sudden faced with higher medical insurance. You're all of a sudden faced with maybe like some weird tax conversations with your CPA, right? And so you're really concerned with write-offs. So it is a balance for an entrepreneur where they have that business hat, that personal hat. They're wearing both hats at the same time. And with a personal financial advisor can work closely with your CPA as a business owner to help build more write-offs. Like, for example, we found that business owners can put certain things in place to dramatically reduce their tax risk.
Okay.
Like what?
Product? Oh, I was just about to say.
Tell us more.
Yeah. I mean, there could be. Now, obviously, this depends on someone's personal or their business situation. However, there could be certain things like a solo 401k, if depending upon the income of the business annually, where you can put something like that in place that will. You're the sole employee of your business, and you have your own 401k in there, and that yields some type of tax shielding. And there's a variety of things. It just depends on the individual situation. I would say connect with me or my team or a financial advisor that you trust, and then get them with the CPA. Have them work with the CPA together as part of your team. That's why I call myself your personal CFO, because even if you're not a business owner, right? Your life is like a business in a lot of ways. And so you're the CEO of your business. So I come alongside you as your CFO.
Very cool.
I love that.
Here's something, and I think this is like literally as this conversation, Janelle kind of hit it on the head when we started, in terms of budgeting seems like such a taboo word to me, because there's a part of me, and it may just be a part of the entrepreneurial culture that I think the ideology is like, we just need to go out and make more money. If I just start making more money and, my expenses obviously stay around the way that they are now, I'll reach my financial goals. But I think the statistics would show that that's not usually how that plays out for many people. Do you think budgeting is where people are going wrong? Like they're just not implementing that within their own lifestyle, their business, culture, and this idea of just go out and make more money is not maybe the way that we should be pursuing our goals?
I mean, you brought up a big ideological shift that I went through in my personal life, where I didn't focus so much on the grind, because that was more detrimental to my health, which could cost more in the long run anyway, right? Like if you're not getting your sleep or eating sugar all day or whatever, that's going to cost more money in medical expenses later on down the line. But I think what
Okay.
you're talking about, yeah, it's an ideological thing, right? It's almost like budgeting can be appealing to some people because some people are like shoppers and they like to save money, right? But I think budgeting is like a process and it involves tracking. And so for me, I found that me and my family, when we're tracking the expenses, I'm surprised by the number I see, right? Where it's not as much of a surprise when I'm spending it. So I'm like, oh, okay, maybe we should only spend X on travel this year, or maybe we should only spend Y on gifts or whatever that the case may be. And so I think that's where budgeting becomes, it's like a whole process. So but you're right, it's not very, it doesn't sound super appealing.
It's not sexy at all.
It's not sexy at all, but
Yeah.
you know, maybe we need to get some more people who are sexy to be budgeting, and then that might help. But I think if you can make it fun and make it enjoyable and incremental steps, like, you know, like atomic habits, like start small, start slow. If you could spend 5 minutes on it, that'll build to 10 to 20, and then you got maybe an hour per month on budgeting. But you know, we got to make it exciting for us as individuals and as entrepreneurs, so that we can, because ultimately it's like the more we save, the more we can have a secure retirement, and then that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
But I think like what I'm trying to be is, there's a person who leads my team. He helps people retire tax free, right? And so getting to the point where you're like, okay, I got my emergency fund, I'm saving a certain percentage of my income now, and you understand the accounts that they're in, and they're not like you know, they're not, you know, highly exposed to losses in the market, then you can really, you know, you're comfortable budgeting. You're comfortable. It's a habit.
So I love that you said that it becomes a habit, because I was like, you know, brushing my teeth isn't sexy either, but like I do it, right? Like it's one of those things where, like, you know, you need to do it in order to maintain the health of, you know, whether it's the health of your mouth or the health of your finances. Like, you start off small. You're not brushing your teeth obviously for hours of the day, but it's the way that you look at it, right? It's something that you have to do to maintain, essentially. So I love that you said that, like, start off with 5 minutes a day or whatever it is, and then eventually it'll become a habit. So there's a question in the chat real quick that I just wanted to get to, which was, how do you find someone like that to help? So this question popped up when you started talking about getting someone to help you along, either with your business or personally. How does someone even go about finding someone to help them with that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm connected with different advisors all over the country. You can go to my website, fill out the form on my website, and I'll connect you to somebody if I'm not licensed in that state. However, I would search your network and see, you know, 6 degrees of separation. I'm sure you know someone who knows someone who is an advisor. And that could be the best step, especially for entrepreneurs. But this is my website right here. I respond immediately. I host webinars. I do one-on-one Zoom calls. And so I can meet you in the comfort of your own home, if you're watching this. And, you know, I come from at least not a long line, but a line, because my dad was in the industry. And I have a great team and agents and advisors all over the country to connect people with. So if you're a nurse and you want to talk to a nurse or someone who used to be a nurse, they're an advisor now, I can connect you with them.
Very cool.
That is cool.
So the thing that,
yeah, go ahead.
No, Susan. Oh, okay. So no, I actually wanted to piggyback off Janelle's comment, and I think the teeth analogy or brushing your teeth analogy is an interesting one, because that's something for many of us we learned as a child to do. And so regardless of it being, you know, again, to Janelle's point, something that we'd like to do or whatever, regardless, you've been doing this for more than, you know, the majority of your life, right? Do you see this being something that's being taught to kids? And if so, how? Like, how would you implement it? Because that would, to me, would be the first thing. Is like, if I can get this into my kid's head at a younger age, having this conversation as an adult would be an easier one. Actually, that's perfect. We can take this into, I know. Yeah, no. So this would be good. We can take this into.
Oh, this is awesome. Okay, so that's our 25-minute timer. We just hit the 25-minute mark. this is awesome. I can't wait to hear the answer to the question about teaching kids in overtime. So if you are not already a Patreon member of ours, you can go look in the chat and become a member real quick, and then you can meet us in overtime, and Sean will get into some of that and so much more. This has been really, really great. I know that
Absolutely.
for me personally, like I already learned a couple of things that I feel like I want to implement almost immediately.
No, seriously.
So I love the fact that you were able to state some of the things that were simple and help not just us out, but like those who came on and listened to what you had to say. This is super helpful. If you thought this was helpful, please put in the chat how valuable Sean's information was. Let him know.
And here's his contact information for everybody. You guys have his website. You could check him out on LinkedIn or Facebook. And he's also on IG and TikTok at Sean Hurdle _. All right. So for anybody who is watching us on Instagram, guys, it won't be saved here. So you can go check out the replay of this on our YouTube channel. You can find the link there in our IG. For everyone else, we'll see you guys in overtime. And as always, remember, you deserve the good life. Say that.
That.
We'll see you guys in overtime. Peace.